All right, for today's example, we're going to be talking about a capital B pattern on the volume profile. So with capital Bs, these are a little bit weird because they don't always have the same bias. It depends on which node is the first node and which node is the secondary node. So the capital B looks like this, where we have two major nodes. Typically, there's one node towards the low and then one node towards the high. And then typically in the middle, you will have single prints or you will have a volume gap. Now, to find your bias, you want to figure out which node was the first node and which node was the second node. So if we started down here, if that was the first node, and then we started to push up, and this is the second node, then obviously that would be bullish. And then hindsight, if this was the first node and this was the second node, that would be bearish, right? Because value is shifting to the downside in that example. For today's example, we have one of the bullish capital Bs. We had our first node on the bottom, and then we shifted up, and then we had our second node on the top. So we have a slight bullish bias. Now, there are a couple ways that capital Bs like to trade. When you have that node, that secondary node shifting, the first way that it likes to trade is it likes to kind of stall out on that second node and then pull back towards the single prints or the middle of the day. And typically what I say is whoever protects the middle of the day controls that day. So if you see a lot of buy pressure on that pullback, then the buyers would still be in control and you would still be looking for higher value. If you start to fill in those single prints, but then you start to see a lot of sell pressure, maybe we try to bounce and then it starts to reject and sell, then the sellers would be winning that day. And then in that example, you would be looking for a retrace back down to the first node. Basically, they would be telling you that second node was a trap. The other way it likes to trade is kind of like what we saw today, where you shift the node to the upside, it protects that node, it does not allow price to go back towards the middle, and then it shoots up to extend the tail. So in today's example, we would be looking for an upper tail extension. Or if I go ahead and play these candles, that is exactly what we did.